Which one is better, standard shopping or Performance Max? In this video, I'll tell you all about it. So Google quietly introduced Performance Max at the end of 2021. Many advertisers were busy with the holiday season back then, so they didn't get around to testing. And it was only when Google started talking about or really forcefully upgrading smart shopping to Performance Max that most people started to pay attention. And for a large part, this is because Google has been really pushing Performance Max. And many advertisers, freelancers, consultants, they really jumped on the bandwagon and also started pushing Performance Max. And the main message was Performance Max will change everything. Throw out everything that you know, and Performance Max is here to save the day and help your campaigns. And I have to say that from all these years teaching Google Ads, I've never seen so much interest in a topic. Probably the biggest reason for that was all of the attention that Performance Max was getting, and that many advertisers kind of felt a bit overwhelmed on what exactly was going on, what was changing for them. If Google was changing stuff in their account, like how could they deal with that? Or even worse, like if they saw an automatic upgrade and results tanked. So we're kind of past that phase now, and we've had some time to reflect and see what's going on. One thing that I found most surprising was that in talking to many advertisers, many sophisticated advertisers that were running standard shopping, a lot of them had the feeling that they had to switch to Performance Max, right? Some of them even paused their existing well-running campaigns to start a new Performance Max campaign simply because that's where Google was heading. And this is something very important. So I want to make it super clear. Standard shopping is still a campaign type that's available in Google Ads, and it will be for the foreseeable future. So there's no need to switch campaigns if you were running standard shopping and you were doing fine before. But also Google has made it pretty ambiguous. If you try to start a new standard shopping campaigns, they will prompt you in a few different places to make sure that you didn't mean to start a Performance Max campaign instead, right? So you kind of have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you're setting up, and you can't like just let Google decide like where to go. You have to know, okay, no, I want to do standard shopping in this way. Now, before we're getting into the details of which one is better, standard shopping or Performance Max, I want to give you my meta thought, right? This applies to any campaign type. Both Performance Max and standard shopping, they're just two campaign types. They're just two tools in the toolbox. In a few situations, there will be a right or wrong answer in a very select few. But most of the time, you will come in a situation where both might work or neither of them will work, or a combination of the two will work, right? So it's up to you as an advertiser to kind of do your homework to see, is this one of those situations where it's super clear which one I should use, which I'll cover later in the video, or do I need to kind of do my own tests? And I'll finish the video with some recommendations on how you can do that. Next, I want to highlight 3 situations where I think it's obvious which one is better, standard shopping or Performance Max. Situation number 1, if you're starting out. So when you're starting out, there's a lot of unknowns. You're not sure which search queries you'll appear for, or what the baseline results are that you can expect, right? So there's a lot of unknowns, and running standard shopping at that point really has a big advantage compared to Performance Max. Because with standard shopping, you can get like an honest look at how your shopping ads will perform. Now, for e-commerce brands, shopping ads are still the cornerstone of your campaigns. And if you would run a Performance Max campaign, that probably would trend also in the way of shopping ads, but it would add like a bunch of extra stuff, right? A bunch of other channels. It might involve your brand, search ads, might create some YouTube ads. It's kind of going to muddy the water on what you can expect. So I usually use standard shopping at that point to kind of establish a baseline. What are the type of returns we can expect? What are the type of bids we need to go after? What's expensive for us? What's not? And also, what search queries are you appearing for? And this might inform in the future setting up like a tiered bidding campaign, or it might also inform us to go back to the product feed or go back to the website to maybe make some changes to what keywords we're targeting, what keywords we're including in the product titles. Maybe from keyword research, it has shown that we're missing a bunch of titles or a bunch of important keywords from our product titles. So you get some of that information in Performance Max, but it's a lot more, a lot less information, a lot less data, and you won't really get a good insight onto which product is showing up for which search query. Second case where it's pretty clear which one is better is when you want control. Performance Max doesn't really allow for much insights or control. So it's obvious standard shopping is the campaign type to go for. Now, when do you need control? When do you want control? Well, many advertisers want control and they would like to control every part of, for example, a Performance Max campaign. But it doesn't always mean that with that control, they're going to make the right decisions. Where it does make sense is if you as an advertiser have a pretty good grasp over what's working for you, what's working best for you, right? So you know which queries are most interesting to you. You also know which queries are not interesting to you. You have like a very good channel distribution, right? You have like campaign types for every part of the funnel. You've got your search campaigns dialed in. You've got your shopping campaign dialed in. You have maybe a YouTube campaign. You have like a set of remarketing campaigns dialed in. Well, then you kind of are already doing what Performance Max is promising to do. So giving up that control and giving up those years of tweaking the campaigns and tweaking the learnings to just dump all the budget in one campaign where you can't control everything, it might feel very risky, and it also is very risky. So those two cases are a pretty clear win for standard shopping. A third one, which I experienced in the past holiday season, was control over the budget. In running a few Performance Max campaigns and scaling them pretty quickly, I found that not all of them respond in the same way to sudden budget increases. Now, I know Google always warns against sudden budget jumps like doubling or tripling budgets, especially if you're using automated bidding or some automated campaign type. But in the past, I've been able to kind of get away with it if I know like if I can control other parts of the situation. But in this past Black Friday, we tried to scale a few campaigns really quickly. Now, we tried it in a few different product categories, and in most cases it went well, but in one case it really went badly. There was one campaign where we scaled from about $1,000 to $4,000 in a day, and things went pretty badly. We really lost a lot of money on that campaign, and the reason why it's so much riskier with a Performance Max campaign is that there's so much more going on, right? In shopping, if you triple the budget, if Google can spend triple the budget, it will spend it on shopping ads, right? You might be bidding a lot more aggressively, your search impression share might grow, etc. But it will stay within the shopping channel. With Performance Max, let's say Google sees that, oh, you've kind of maximized that shopping part already, but let's just allocate a few thousand of those dollars and put them on display, right? Because we know we need the volume. Well, I can tell you in that case, things won't go well. So if display is involved where the supply is like endless, or also search, there's also a ton of potential there, or a ton of potential inventory there, doesn't always mean that it's going to be beneficial. So if you want control on where your budget is spent, which part of the channel, standard shopping is still the right answer. On to case number 3, where there is a clear winner, and that is small advertisers versus big advertisers. If you're a smaller advertiser, the pitch of Performance Max sounds great, right? You can have search, shopping, display, YouTube, all together in a single campaign, right? So imagine having to run 4 or 5 or 10 campaigns, and now you can do everything from a single campaign, and Google will allocate the budget as it sees fit. This sounds great if you're an advertiser that's kind of getting into Google Ads, that isn't very sophisticated or doesn't really know a lot about Google Ads yet. But the reality tells a different story, because in order for Performance Max to properly work, you need a lot of conversion data. And Google doesn't really get into the specifics of this is how much data you need for a campaign. But I would say, like, I've heard anywhere from like 15 to 50 conversions as being like the lower end of the of where it makes sense to run a campaign. And that is a lot, like 30 sales for a small business in a single campaign. That are a lot of conversions. And if we then look a little bit deeper on how those 30 conversions, where they actually come from, we might see that 20 come from clicks on shopping ads, 5 might come from branded searches, 3 might come from generic search, 1 might come from a retargeting, a banner ad, and then 1 might come from a YouTube ad. And how Performance Max works is they will use that data, that conversion data, to kind of calibrate where they should spend or more money, where they should allocate the budget. And as you can see from the breakdown, those 30 conversions, they're spread pretty thinly, right? If we take out shopping and branded clicks, we have some volume there. Google might be able to determine what's interesting, what's not. There's only 5 conversions left to help Google determine which parts of the search and display network to target, right? So these 2 things are huge. There's tons and tons and tons of searches happening every day. On display, the inventory is literally limitless. So it's very hard for Google to kind of calibrate their algorithm on such small numbers. So take that, instead of 30 conversions, make that 300 conversions. And now all of a sudden you get more insights, right? Is YouTube really going to perform for you? Is display interesting? And you might also be able to use like the benefits of combining everything in one campaign. But if you have like those low numbers, you're not really going to get the benefit of having that extra reach. I know this is a hotly debated item, so I put out a poll on Twitter to kind of see what other advertisers, Google Ads experts, were thinking. And from the results, it's pretty clear that most people are trending towards big advertisers, right? So Performance Max is interesting for big advertisers. About 75%, I would say, of answers really goes for this. So if you're a small advertiser, individual campaigns are more work, but at least you can see that your budget is being spent effectively. Otherwise, you might have the majority coming from shopping and branded search, which isn't terrible. But there might be a lot of budget being wasted on channels where it's unclear whether or not you should advertise there, right? And Google will just average out your return on ad spend or your target CPA across all those channels. So maybe on shopping, you have like a CPA of, let's say, $50, but then on YouTube or display, you're running at a CPA of 500. But just because it's like one sale, averages out, and you've actually spent a bunch of money that you shouldn't have been spending. So what's the main takeaway of this video? Well, standard shopping isn't dead yet. Right now, there's like 2 good campaign types in your Google Ads account, right? Standard shopping, Performance Max, both allow you to target those shopping ads. And I've outlined the 3 cases where it's pretty obvious that standard shopping is a better option. But in many other cases, the jury's still out, right? It will depend on your results, your business, your account, your prior history, on what makes most sense. So I do want to urge you to kind of, if you've been running Performance Max for a while, if you did the automatic switch, or you paused your campaigns and switched yourself, really take some time to analyze the results. Don't just look at Performance Max versus your other campaign, but try to see try to compare the whole, right? So with Performance Max, there's going to be a lot of branded search involved, like calculated inside of the campaign. So you kind of want to account for that if you're just comparing with the standard shopping campaign. Same for remarketing, right? Performance Max is going to take a lot of remarketing sales away from your existing campaigns. Standard shopping doesn't have it. So if you compare the two on their own, like standard shopping will always look a little bit worse, but you kind of have to look at a more global picture in your account. Google recently released like a few experiments as part of the Google Ads experiments feature inside of Google Ads that allow you to do a little bit of research with Performance Max campaigns. It's not ideal, but it can help you to get like a little bit of a better grasp on which makes most sense for your account. So I've linked an article in the description below this video that will help you make sense of those different campaign experiments you can run. Yeah, and you'll have to figure that out on your own. Now, before we end this video, I want to ask you, which campaign type do you go to? Standard shopping, Performance Max? Do you have like a favorite? Do you have like particular situations where you prefer one campaign over the other? I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments. Thanks and have a great day.